Mr. Adam and Mrs. Dania are planning to invest in a real property. It is the best safe option. However, it is not as easy as it sounds. Regardless of what happened, the price of property will always remain high. Real property, such as standard lots in shopping complex, condominiums, residential homes, and many others, could bring profit to Mr. Adam and Mrs. Dania if it is handled in a right way. Here are those reasons why those who are brilliant in investing decides to invest in real property. It provides a steady income. As a real estate investor, you could be earning a steady flow of income to secure financial freedom for a long haul. This passive income is a huge incentive to get you started and buy your first rental property. Long-term financial security. Owning a rental property can afford investors a sense of security because land and buildings are appreciating assets. With that said, there's no guarantee the value will increase indefinitely.
Tax benefit. This is the major reasons why many choose to invest in real estate. For instance, rental income is not a subject to self-employment tax. In addition, the government offers tax breaks for property depreciation, insurance, maintenance, legal fees, and property taxes. Real estate investors are also entitled for their long-term investment. You are your own decision maker. Forget about your boring job. The best part here is that becoming your very own boss. You have the complete autonomy to control over your real estate investment, as well as the risk of success and failure. After all, Mr. Adam and Mrs. Dania could find many sources to shop around for a property, such as developers, which is cheaper rather than getting it in secondary market. Real estate agents if they plan to get property in secondary market, and last but not least, a property exhibitions such as MAPEX, where they can enjoy discounts and legal fees with representative from the banks at exhibition for financing advice. Rather of all that, there are many hidden routes that people aren't aware of that might lead you to lose money. If you ask anyone who invests in a real estate investment, he will tell you to think twice before you throw your money in. Here is the reason why. Home prices are not always increased, and so that some people think that by getting them rent, at least it will inflow some money to your account. Unfortunately, it is not great as it sounds. You will not be having tenants for 15 straight years. There will be people come and go. And for some period, you will not having tenants, but it will still draining money out of your pockets. Secondly, real estate is not just about buy the property and forget about it. It needs maintenance, repairs, and so on. We can actually see that some tenants will not going to take care of the rented property as much as they owned. So, renovation is needed often. Lastly, real estate investment is one of the brutally comparative industry because it is one of the oldest in the industry. Without understanding the market investment deeply and search for the best property,
do you know a fact that 3/4 of Malaysians are not afford enough to fork out RM1000 during emergency? With the higher cost of living day by day, we need to ensure ourselves to have enough savings to live our daily lives without having worries. So, how you are going to save and grow money at the same time? One of the easy way is by unit trust fund. Have you ever heard of unit trust fund? It is an instrument which allows investors with similar objectives to pool their money in the fund. Then, the particular fund will be invested by the second party in equities, bonds, or other investment. Unit trust involves in 3 different parties which is the investor or unit holder who invests in the fund. Secondly, a trustee, who safeguards the fund assets. And lastly, the unit trust management company, who manage to invest in authorized investment and portfolios. There are few types of unit trust under conventional, which are fixed income funds. It provides a regular income with less emphasis on producing capital growth for investors. They invested mainly in MGS, corporate bonds, and money market instruments. Secondly, equity funds, the most popular one as they provide investors with exposure with company listed in Bursa Malaysia. Next is money market funds, which invested in low-risk money market instruments. Next is exchange-traded funds, ETF. Its objective is to achieve the same return as a particular market index. On the other hand, there is also Sharia funds, which provide an alternative avenue for investors who are sensitive to Sharia requirements. They will exclude those companies involved in products that are related to gambling, non-halal foods, and alcohol beverages. The returns for Sharia unit trust funds avoid riba and usury interest. There can be some costs to involve in unit trust fund, including entry, ongoing, and exit costs. Technically, the entry fee is to cover the commission for selling the unit trust to the investor with its associated costs. An exit fee is related to redemption that you might make in the first year of investment. A useful way to measure the overall cost is with the management expenses ratio. It is a method which you can compare different cost structures of competing funds. These costs vary considerably.
The return on investment is probably the most crucial part, because in assessing the further returns of fund, the best place is to look at the return that the fund has already achieved before. You must consider the fund that has a record at least 5 years of return. If possible, understand the overall the company has to say. Unit trust funds are managed by full-time professional fund manager. They will provide safety and less monitoring. They will work on incentive research, market analysis, and monitor the economic market environment so that the decisions are more accurate and acceptable. Investing in unit trust fund also will provide the alternative investment opportunity with a lesser risk. Investors choose on their preference and expertise will make the investment become more relevant and less risky. Not just that, the initial capital requirement for a unit trust investment is relatively low and affordable to a small investor. However, there must be pros and cons in everything. So do unit trusts. Firstly, lack of publicity. It is important to have a strong publicity in order to send information to a target customer. They will attract intention for them to invest in fund. Secondly, fund manager need to be an expert with a lot experience so that when the customer asks for actual research and analysis, we have the clue. Last but not least, the risk of getting a lower return compared to invest in the stock market. This is because the investor pay a lot of expenses as mentioned earlier in order to buy and sell unit trusts. This may reduce the return to the investor.